I'll start it off.
Okay.
And it's something I asked Dabo last night, but are you surprised at maybe the lack of recognition that Taj has gotten nationally, considering some of the numbers he's put up?
Yeah, I really am. I mean, you know, when you start looking at his passing efficiency and obviously the yards that he's thrown for, the touchdowns he's thrown for, it's kind of surprised me. I mean, he'll get mentioned and then, you know, kind of almost like it just goes away. But, you know, all that comes with it. It comes with the territory, and, you know, we expect, we expect, you know, Taj's performance each week to be at the top of his game, and you know, hey, that's all we can control. We're extremely proud of the way he's playing. Obviously, we wouldn't be in the situation we're in right now. The success that we've had this year without his style of play is much better than it was a year ago.
Do you think the success the team has in the first half each week is maybe hurting that? Everybody's only seeing this for a half, and he's having great numbers.
I really do. Over the last 3 weeks, you know, he's essentially played a half, just a little bit over a half, not quite 3/4, and I do. Maybe that's hurt him a little bit, and getting some of the exposure and the recognition. But you know, but we can't control that. You know, all we can do is control how we play and how we approach each day, and all that other stuff will take care of itself in due time.
For the third straight week, the backups have played a lot in the second half. After going back in the film, have they improved each week?
They have. They really have. I mean, we've shown a lot of improvement in our offensive line, especially, and that's the area that we were really focused on, trying to create some depth, and you know, it's only going to make us a better football team as the year goes, as we get into spring ball and then get into next year. So I'm excited that these guys have had live reps and game experience. I mean, that's something you can't coach.
Dabo mentioned David Beasley last night. Played pretty well.
Yeah, you know, that was a pleasant surprise. David was due. You know, he had 2 just average performances the week before. We really tried to challenge David throughout the course of the last 2 weeks, not just last week, but the last 2 weeks, and you know, pulled him out of practice at times. I mean, we were rotating guys in and out there. You know, we had to get his level back up to where it was in fall camp when he was trying to earn the job. and so it was something I was glad to see. I think he was our lineman of the week, but well deserved. I thought he played probably his most physical game as he has all year.
How would you assess Giff Timothy's year?
You know, Giff is getting better. He actually showed a few signs of being, you know, kind of having some dominating performances out there. And matter of fact, showed a little bit of a hard edge at times. I had to rewrite in the film and make sure that you know, that steps in the right direction right there. And it'll definitely be things that we'll commend him on today in our meetings, and proud of him. He's getting better. He's starting to figure it out. We've still got a long way to go, but he's played well over the last few weeks, and it's been good to see him gain some confidence. You know, and I'm glad to see that, because he's been a pleasant surprise for us this year. He really has.
Sure, taking Martavis Bryant, how he's played this year. I know he had the big pass, kind of stepped up a little bit in Sammy's absence Saturday.
Well, you know, I mean, Martavis is, you know, that guy is. We all know what kind of talent he is, and you know, just what he brings. You know, his speed, probably the fastest player on the team, and that with his size. I mean, he's a specimen. I mean, he gets out there, and when he's, you know, he's in the game, I mean, he's got a chance to make the play at any point in time on the field, and it's good to see him. He's gaining confidence. He's getting more comfortable in his role, and he just continues to make big catch after big catch for us.
Defensively, what have you seen from NC State? I found many different.
Very sound, very sound. You know, coming into last week, we knew what kind of defense Maryland would had, and you know, they were very solid. This is a group this week that we're playing, North Carolina State. That's I tell you, they lead the league in sacks. I think they're number 7 in the country in sacks. They move their front just about every play. Now, they're going to play a lot of man coverage behind it, which again has kind of been the coverage of the year against us. We're expecting to see a lot of man. a lot of cover 2. They do a really good job of disguising it, and point blank, they got after our tail last year. I mean, they got after us, and this is something that will not go unnoticed this week as we continue to talk about a very sound defensive football team in state and what they did to us last year with the same record. I think we were 9-1. I think we're ranked in the top 10. I mean, they embarrassed us, and that's something that you know, our guys that don't know if they were overlooking the game a year ago or not. It didn't matter. They got after our tail, and you know, that's something that you know, they've got 5 returning starters from last year's team, and you know, they haven't changed their system and what they do. If anything, they move their front more, and they play a little bit more man coverage.
Have you been happy with the production of your running game, running backs in particular?
Yeah, you know, when you start looking at it, it's kind of like ties. I mean, you know, you're looking at these guys are playing a half, and maybe a half and a drive of the third quarter. So you know, you look at it, and you know, I think Maryland was averaging 301 yards a game last week coming into our game. We had 310 at halftime, and I thought we ran the ball effectively. Had a few missed assignments, but then be able to get in and get some of these other guys some roles and get Andre off the field. And I've been pleased. Obviously, we can always be better. You know, there's our short yardage has continued to be impressive on the year. But we got a lot of room for improvement. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm not satisfied saying that we're the national champion in a running offense here, because we're not. We got a long way to go to get that. You know, to where we want to be running the football. But we have. I've been pleased with it. We've just got to continue to press the fundamentals and press the toughness. That's what it comes down to.
Coach Sweeney said last night he thought only receivers with dreadlocks can catch touchdown passes. Talking about Adam, but Adam finally got his first. How impressed were you with his first catch?
I thought that was a huge play in the game. You know, for him to make a diving catch, one-handed. You know, matter of fact, last week during practice, I told him I felt like that. I said, Adam, I think we got you one this week. We're gonna get you a touchdown this week, and it wasn't on that play I was anticipating. We had another play designed for him, and it just so happens he caught it on the one that you know, he did a great job, made a double move, came across the middle.
Is that a second or third read for Taj?
It was actually his second read, but he threw it through the second window. I mean, it was he did a good job stepping up, letting it unfold. It was you know, if you just draw it up on paper, you wouldn't have drawn it up to be thrown in that area. It would have been in another area a little quicker, but they had a good defense against it. Their Mike linebacker did a really good job and forced it to the next window, and Taj stepped up and threw about the only spot he could.
There's a certain number of snaps you'd like to see. When making a decision about red shirts, is there a minimum snap level you'd like to see a guy get during the season?
No, I mean, when you start putting a guy in, and I mean, you burn his red shirt right then.
Like a guy like Isaiah Battle.
Yeah. I mean, you know, it's you'd love to be able to have them. Obviously, we had to have Isaiah for backup role purposes, and getting the quality of practice. You know that sometimes when you redshirt guys, you put them on the scout team squad. You don't get a chance to get them over. We feel like Isaiah's a guy that needed that practice. You know, he hasn't played football that much, and so yeah. I mean, you'd love to redshirt him, but in the same sense, I mean, in the whole development, the big picture of things, I mean, it was better off for him to be with us the entire year.
What do you think the issues have been for turnovers the last 2 games?
Well, I think, you know, you look at offensively last week where we turned it over twice, 2 fumbles by Taj, and one of them was a poor read, poor ball security. It was a pull read, and then his alignment from the start was too tight to the line of scrimmage. Therefore, it forced everything to happen so quick. Laid the ball on the ground. Second turnover that he had, I mean, makes a great read, pulls it, gets around, and cuts the inside shoulder of the safety, and was going in to score, and was spinning like he likes to do, and with things we've talked about, just get what you can and get down. And the guy he was reaching the ball out to try to get it across the goal line, and the guy hit it. And so those are two things. He loved his effort. Got to protect the football, especially down in the red zone. So that was those two right there were, the one down in the red zone. Okay, I can understand that, but the misread and laying it on the ground, and that's unacceptable. He knew it. He was disappointed. Wasn't anybody more disappointed than himself? Especially, he was really disappointed in the one that he didn't score on. So,
Taj's completion percentage is up about 10%. What is that mostly a product of?
I think it's his maturity. I think his fundamentals, his footwork, has really attributed a lot to his overall confidence and just the knowledge of the system, another year in it. So we feel like to play championship caliber offensive football, you got to be in the 68 to 72% percentile of completion rates. And that's what we talk about all the time, and we chart it every day, and we chart it in practice during the fall or spring ball, and that's a big thing that Taj always looks at, is what was my completion percent. And we do it as a team in spring ball, but it's up, and I think it's a lot to say about him and his footwork.
And his yards per attempt are up a considerable level too.
He's probably the most accurate deep ball passer I've ever been around and maybe ever seen. I mean, he is. I told him that this morning. I feel like he's more accurate at 35 yards than he is at 5 yards, and it's true. You look at it, and and again, it's a great feel for it. He's got a great touch. He threw a great ball this past weekend down here, coming into the west end zone to Nuke, and when he let it go, Nuke wasn't even out of his break, and then Nuke never had to break stride on it and catches it and scores. So he's just got a really good feel for the deep ball. Of course, we throw a lot of deep balls every day, but he's got a great feel for it. Very accurate.
So when you're averaging 9.5 yards per pass attempt, are you? I guess the coach is never okay with turnovers, but are you okay with a few interceptions, knowing the nature of?
Well, no. I mean, absolutely not. I mean, you don't want any turnovers at all. No interceptions. I mean, those are things you try to avoid. It's going to happen. I mean, you throw the ball enough, you're going to throw an interception. But it's just the ones that you make impulse decisions and turn the ball over is what drives you crazy. If a guy tips a ball, gets picked off, guy makes a great play on it. The player at Duke made a great play on a ball. I mean, those, what do you do? I mean, the guy made a great play. You got to give him credit. It's what Taj has been able to do that's really been impressive this year. He's been able to limit his impulse decision making to where that he's rolling one way, throws across his body the other way. Well, things that we saw late in the year last year, and just carrying the ball loosely, and a guy knocks the ball out. Well, okay, that could have been avoided. You got the ball high and tight, and the guy makes a great hit on you and lays it on. I mean, that's going to happen sometimes. But obviously his interceptions have been down, and a lot has to do with the fact that he's not making those impulse decisions.
What do you feel has been the key to the red zone efficiency this season? You guys are pretty high.
I think our ability to convert short yardage. I really do. I think that's been critical for us. Our ability to keep the chains moving. Taj being able to run the football more effectively this year, but to convert to third and short, third 1 to 2, fourth and 1 to 2s has been really instrumental in us scoring points. And again, we always talk to our guys about anytime you get inside the 25-yard line, I mean, we've got 3 points, don't screw it up. And give us a chance, and being smart with the football.
Coach, going back to NC State, they've got 2 NFL, I guess, type corners.
Mm-hmm.
They do get beat sometimes. Would you say that they're gamblers, or?
Well, I think they take chances. I think they're extremely well coached. They're returning from last year. Emerson had 14 interceptions last year, something like that. His interception, total has been down this year. Well, a lot of that has to do with people don't want to throw to his side. And so he's not getting as many opportunities this year as he was last year. And doesn't mean that he's not playing as well. It just means that he's not getting that many opportunities. And anytime you've got corners and safeties like these guys have, they have opportunity. they take chances, and they're very aggressive, and that's their style of play, and they're physical, and when that happens and you take chances, you're going to give up a shot or two over the top.
Were they physical with Clemson's receivers last year?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was a battle. Oh, I mean, it was. So they were extremely physical with us, and I mean, that was one of the things that, like I said, they got after us last year. There's no doubt about that.
What's the gap? You've been around a lot of Texas high school football. Compared to this state, what is the gap like between those? Because we hear a lot about just the quality of Texas football. What do you think? Is there?
Well, I think you look at obviously in the state of Texas, you're looking at 1,900 high schools, and you're also looking at coaches that don't teach any classes. They're football all day, and I think it's hard to compare. I mean, there's some programs in the state of South Carolina and obviously Georgia and North Carolina and our recruiting area that could go into Texas and compete day in and day out. But as an overall, you're not comparing equals, because the coaches in our state, most of them teach all day long, and football's after school, and where football is built into the day in Texas into those high schools. So it's hard to compare when you have that. Now on the flip side of that, let me say this: the opportunity to get a player out of the state of South Carolina and see his upside being huge compared to you going to the state of Texas and some of the surrounding areas, and Oklahoma's that way too, because they'll have a few programs there that their coaches don't teach much class either, and they're constant football 24/7 all year long, and so what happens is the development of those players is a lot higher, and because of they're around it year round, and so to see the upside of some of those guys, it may not be quite as big as maybe the upsides that we get to some of our players that we get out of South Carolina. And so I think that's you have to do a really good job as a recruiter. You have to really do a really good job of projecting players.
As an up-tempo guy, did you take some satisfaction out of what happened in Tuscaloosa Saturday?
Well, being an Aggie, being an Aggie, it was good, absolutely. It was a Tigers and Aggies winning there. Obviously, it was a good day at the Morris household there, but yeah, it was good, and Coach Sumlin and we knew quite a few coaches on that staff and recruited several of those players when I was at Tulsa, and obviously coached against a few of them, so it was good. It was obviously good for their staff and for the Aggies.
Was Zach Brooks dinged up at all Saturday? I'm just curious.
I'm sorry?
Was Zach Brooks, he dinged up at all Saturday? Because he had one carry. I figured he'd be maybe a guy.
Well, he was in. Yeah, he was in, and actually when he was in, we had him do a few other things for us, but because Hot Rod, we had two backs on the field at the same time. But no, he's not. He's been good.
Is Sammy going to be limited at all this week?
No, I feel like Sammy will be fine. Our report that we've got, I mean, he should be fine. Should be working out this week. I think a lot of it was precautionary reasons. Again, at halftime we start looking at it. So much like Andre.
Anything else?
All right. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you. Do you think sometimes Sammy gets injured because he's so upright? He takes some shots. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.